Yes, good people, welcome back to the channel. So today we're getting back on track with the Mk4 GTI restoration. I've currently got it in my garage, got the arch liner out, she's jacked up. Yeah, on the driver's side rear I've taken the arch liner out. The driver's side wing is rusty, the seal's pretty solid until you get to the back here. It's not gone through like the other seal, it's got a big hole in it. This one is actually pretty solid, so I did treat it with some crust, but now we've got the arch liner off. As you can see, she's a little bit crusty up in the inside. It's solid, but if I'd have left it a little bit longer there could have been some major welding work going on in there. I really want to get this bumper off as well, so I may do that today. See what's under there, because that little corner there is quite rusted up, especially on the underside. So we're going to treat all this today. I'm going to get a wire brush on this, get rid of all that surface rust, get it back to sort of bare-ish metal, put some Q rust on it, and we'll primer it, stick some silver paint on, and make this look a bit prettier. This seal under here, it did start bubbling up and little bits of metal did come off, but it ain't too bad. So what I'm thinking of doing with this is, again, sand it back, put some more of that Q rust on, primer it, maybe a thin coat of filler, because that's the line there for the stone chip, but it goes a little bit above it. So yeah, we'll smooth that in, try and smooth that over a bit more. Stick some stone chip on it. It's pretty solid on the seal as well itself. There's a little bit there I've got to fill in, a little gap that's missing, so we'll sort that out. Stone chip it, paint it. I've got some spray paint the same colour. This is satin silver metallic, I think it's LB7L, something like that. It's not reflex silver, it's more of a pearlescent finish, but once we sort that out it'll look a lot better. I have done a similar project on the channel before on my old Mk4 GTI. I did the driver's side arch, was pretty much like this, and it came out nice and shiny once she was done. I'm going to get the wire brush on this, clean it all up, Q-rust it, because that takes a little while to dry. I'll go all inside, all the gnarly bits. I'll also clean that arch liner as well, so when we get that back on, she is minty fresh under there. We're at the stage now where the Q-rust is on. We're going to let that dry for a good hour, and that'll all turn black. I did a little bit up there, that needs a bit of a touch up, and then this corner here as well, I've done that. So again, let this dry for about an hour, then I'll start primering stuff. I'm going to use some red oxide primer. I've done under there as well. It ain't too bad, but you know, just want to make sure everything's right. Primer that, and then we're going to get onto the filling and smoothing out. But that just stop rusting away on that arch anyway. So hopefully when I get to do the other side, it ain't as bad. But we'll see. So there you go, I've gone with one coat. This stuff comes out thick, so be careful when you put it on. This will pretty much be enough for what I need. I've gone over them rubber grommets, because even at factory they paint over them. But that should be enough for that. I didn't go too high there because I don't want too much overspray, so that I'm going to get some thinners on, just get rid of this excess spray. And once we put the stone chip on, that'll be nice and sealed anyway. And also we gave it a bit of a coat at the back of the arch as well. So I'll let that dry for about half an hour or so. And the fill I'm using is this Easy Sanding Big Boy Body Filler. I've used this a few times, used it on my van. It is good stuff. Quite pliable, but it does dry really quick, and it is hot today, so I ain't going to film this bit because I'm going to be working fast. Okay, so that's the second coat of filler. I've come in quite heavy on this one, so I've got a bit more room for manoeuvre, but I'm sort of letting it dry for about half an hour, rubbing it back, and I'll probably go over it again just to sort of pack it out, but we are getting there. Okay, that's the filler done. It's not the prettiest job, it's a little bit lumpy. That area is an absolute pain to smooth out because of the rust on the seal. It's a very uneven surface, so I could be there all day sanding that down, and I really can't be arsed if I'm honest. It's going to be covered in under seal, dimpled effect, so you won't really see it too much anyway, hopefully, but we'll see how it goes. I found some filler primer, so I thought I'd give that a go to help smooth things out a wee tad. And then we're going to hit it with this Tetrasil stone chip spray paint. That should have a dimpled surface to make it a bit more OEM. So we're going to let this filler primer dry for about 15 minutes, half an hour, and then we'll hit it with a stone chip and see if that will smooth out our issues. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I thought I'd just quickly try this stone chip stuff, and it's actually pretty easy to go on. As you can see, it sort of bubbles up as you apply it. So that's the Tetrasil stone chip stuff applied. Actually looks pretty decent. Nice thick finish. It's not as dimpled as the factory one, but should do the job. I think we've got a little bit of a run there, but that's inside, it don't matter. Yeah, that should cover up all we need in the arch there. I'm going to go over all this with the satin silver paint anyway. But yeah, not looking too bad at all. Yeah, if I get that on the camera on there, yeah, it's not looking too, but unfortunately it's not very dimpled on the seal there, but you know, it is what it is. Definitely better than it was before. So I'm going to let that dry for, I don't even know how long it takes, an hour or so. Just so on the can, dries in 2 hours. So we'll let that dry for a few hours, and then we'll come back and start hitting it with some satin silver metallic. Okay, so we're a couple of coats in now. It's not looking too bad if I'm honest. Yeah, not bad colour match. I'm blending it in up this arch here. I've got a little bit of overspray on this door, but I can wipe that off anyway, that ain't a problem. So I'm just doing light little coats. I did get a tiny little run on the corner there because there was a chip on the inside, and I was trying to be clever, and I was trying to get a bit of paint on that. So there's a little run, but it's where the dimple stone chip stuff is, so we could get away with that. We'll see how it looks. I can always rub it back a little bit, but I'm going to let this dry for a good few hours, and then I think I'm pretty much ready for the top coat after that. But yeah, so far not looking too bad at all. So while I've been waiting, I did clean up the arch liner. I was going to put some like shiny spray inside it, but I don't want no silicone in the room at the minute because that will affect the way paint sits on the bodywork. So make sure you've got a nice clean silicone free area when you're doing paint work. But yeah, that is looking pretty darn good if I do say so myself. Okay, so I've hit it with about 3 coats of clear coat. She ain't looking too shoddy, I must admit. I'm going to leave it for a couple of days in the garage. I've cleaned up the wheel while I've got it off. Yeah, I'm going to let this fully cure for a few days. I'll come back, use a bit of compound, get a bit more shine into it, and obviously it's a bit rough at the moment, but once you start cutting away at the overspray and stuff, it shouldn't be too bad. But she looks pretty good. As you get a bit further down, you can see it's quite matte, but once you start getting some compound on it, I'm going to use some G3 cutting compound. That should bring it back to life a little bit. But from how it was this morning to how it looks now, I think that is a damn sight better. We know there's no rust inside the arch, so once it's all fully dried out, I'll stick the arch liner on, put the wheel on, and I think we'll be good to go. So we'll come back in a few days. It's Friday, I'm working Saturday, I'm off Sunday, I'm working Monday, Tuesday, so I may leave this in here till sort of Wednesday, give it a chance to properly dry. Get that G3 cutting compound on there and we should get a nice shine on it. Oh yeah. It's a couple of days later, she's out the garage, had a few days to dry off. It is early in the morning and all the cockerels around here are having a little shout off, so excuse the noise. Like I say, she's a little bit lumpy, but definite improvement of what it was before, and I think the paint match looks pretty much spot on. I haven't polished it up yet, I'll be doing that today, but just wanted to get it outside in the light. I may also be putting side skirts on this, so another thing, I'm not too fussed about how perfect it looks, but in terms of got rid of the rust, preventing more rust in the future, she's watertight now. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'll call that a win. So that'll do for today's video. If you enjoy the sound of cockerels, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more videos on the Golf. Thanks for watching. Peace.